Welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast, episode 605. We're trucking right along. It's the end of an era. That's why I'm wearing this outfit. Hopefully you're watching on YouTube. Mike Herrera it's Mike Herrera video, YouTube, but I released the podcast video version over there. So please subscribe to that. I appreciate that. So check it out. This is right out the gate. I just want to say, Michael, I apologize. I really didn't think it was going to go this wild. People really had an emotional reaction to the meet and greet voicemail from last week. So I want to keep it positive, and I would just want to say, hey, I would love to have a conversation with you, and maybe we can do that. We can also do that on the podcast if you're willing to do that as well. You know, it's a human moment, and honestly, I'm sorry for it blowing up so big. So we're gonna do this episode, and then I kind of want to put it away if possible. So I know I'm gonna get a lot more voicemails about this situation, but I just took the first few, and there's a whole lot. So I took a lot of people that were at the Charlotte show, and I put them into this mix, but or at shows very recently. You know, I just wanted to have their perspective on that. I don't mean this to be piling on. These are very positive messages. Not as there might be a few negative bits here and there against you, Michael, but for the most part, it really is. I think it's going to be positive. So just wanted to say that. This is a little different kind of episode. I'm going to let you guys speak for the community. I appreciate everybody that listens to the podcast, listens to MxPx, comes out to shows, comes and says hi on the street, wherever it is. I appreciate that at all times. And you know, when people say hi in an airport, you know, they're like, oh, I'm sorry for, you know, bothering you. And I'm like, no, you're fine. And they're like, I bet that doesn't happen too often. I'm like, honestly, it happens almost every time I'm in an airport, but you're fine. Like that's literally, I don't mind talking to people. Like it's, you know, it's pretty great. So, I just wanted to say, Michael, I'm not mad at you. I feel like I stand by everything I said on that podcast, in response, even though it was off the top of my head. You know, I maybe could have condensed it down a little bit, but I'll try not to respond too lengthy to any of these voicemails, but you know, because there's a lot of them, so I'm just going to try to play a lot of yours, and I'll respond very quickly. So I'll go through them very quickly as we get going. So please just understand that I'm trying to get also to everybody's voicemails as well on one podcast that doesn't turn into like 3 hours long. So let's begin. Let's hear from you guys. You guys called in. The number is it's 360-830-6660. Call in about any kind of topic you want me to talk about. Hopefully we can put this meet and greet stuff behind us. I get it. Thank you so much. But maybe you want to tell your story. Maybe you want to tell your story about MxPx, about me, about whatever. Hey, I don't mind hearing about that. But anything else is also on the table. You want me to talk about, you know, music, business, tech, anything like that, I'm welcome to do that. New album stuff coming, new music, how we do what we do. I from time to time try to get deep into that. And Michael, if you're listening, you know, I can't imagine how you must feel with all of these people going, man, you're totally wrong, blah blah blah. But I'm glad that we don't know your location, we don't know your last name, we don't know anything really about you, and that's a good thing. And a lot of these people are very understanding, you know, but I think if you're on the receiving end of criticism, it can feel very, very, very harsh. So I just wanted to say that most of these are absolutely very positive, and but I want you guys to just get out your feelings and your emotions, because everybody had a very strong reaction to this. Like I said earlier, I wasn't expecting just the sheer numbers of people replying and commenting on a podcast that simply doesn't have a lot of controversy. Usually it's me usually talking about nerdy things like touring and logistics and how we get from point A to point B and how we make set lists and how I write songs. And when I have guests on, I ask them kind of the same kinds of questions. So this got a little emotional, whereas we don't usually go there. And so I get that. And I don't want to apologize for that because, you know, it was a very real moment. And Michael is still welcome to stand by his statement and his, you know, the way he felt in that moment. And I validate that, you know, and I, like I said on last week, I said, I'm sorry you feel that way, you know, and then I went on to say, you know, we probably just misaligned somehow, and whether, you know, so that being said, you know, this episode is an attempt to bring some dignity back to Michael, but also hear from the community, the podcast community, as well as, you know, where it crosses over into MxPx. And so, you know, I've been doing this podcast a long time. It's been over 10 years. It's been probably 13 years now. And, you know, this is kind of the first time I've really had this kind of thing happen, but we all learn from it, you know, and I'm absolutely learning from it. So I'll get to your voicemails right here, but until then, MxPx, we got a bunch of shows coming. Goldfinger has a bunch of shows coming, but to make it easy, we just start going. We have Warped Tour, but before that, I actually just announced. Well, I didn't really announce it. Bremerton announced it. June 12th in Bremerton, Washington, I'm doing an acoustic show. Full set, as far as I know. Outdoor acoustic show on the street, downtown Bremerton, for the fan zone for the FIFA World Cup event that are happening all over the Seattle area in Washington State. So I'm doing that set, and then I'm going to get on a plane and fly to Washington, D.C., and we'll do Warped Tour that weekend as well. So going to be a chock full weekend, June 12th, 13, 14 in there. And then you can go to MxPx.com and look up all the different Warped Tour dates that we're doing. But we're doing them all. And then September 5th, Punkadeka Festival in Milan, Italy. Got to get flights for that very soon, I think. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. MxPx.com, merch, hoodies, the whole deal. We've got a lot of Find a Way Home era merch items still in there that are going to go away when the new album comes. So if you want anything, make sure you go check that out. Why is it the end of the Find a Way Home era? Because we are entering into no man's land, where we have Warped Tour coming up. We have things that aren't going to be full album tour type sets. It's going to be a shorter set, like a 45-minute set at Warped Tour or something like that. I don't know if it's 40 minutes or 45 minutes, somewhere in there. It's not just a half hour anymore. They give us a little bit more time. But that being said, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a banger set. It's going to have, you know, it'll have new era songs. We're going to do Let's Ride. We're going to do a Stay Up All Night. You know, we're going to do songs you want to hear, that's for sure. But we're going to do songs that people probably know really well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But that's the end of the Find a Way Home era, where we're hitting all the extra songs, the deeper album track songs. And of course, we'll hit those now and again when we do live streams. But new MxPx it's getting closer and closer. We're working on all the things, like you know, the artwork and the mastering and the all, you know, kind of like trying to figure out what we're going to do with everything. Like, we have all the pieces here. What do we do with it? You know, we're still trying to figure that out. And so, but yeah, a little too much inside baseball probably for that. Let's get to these voicemails. This is going to be a long I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but it's going to be a little more than normal because I'm going to try to play all these all these voicemails for you. All right, here we go, you guys.
Hey, Mike, it's your attorney, Daniel, from Ohio. Calling in response to Michael, who had the bad experience with the meet and greet in Charlotte. I gotta say, I've literally watched thousands of those meet and greet interactions. I've waited in countless lines. I was in that Charlotte line The only thing I can think is I recall being in that Charlotte line. It was a long line. That was a long night. You guys were being kind of pushed, especially as it got closer to the end. The staff there was trying to push you guys, to keep moving and get out of there. They were, people were being kind of pushed through because, the venue wanted to send their people home. So the only thing I can think is that you had multiple voices in your ear at the time and missed something he said, and so your response wasn't what he was expecting. But all the interactions I was able to see while I was waiting in line that night were normal. You guys are great. You're the only band really doing that, just making sure that you're taking care of your fans and doing all these great things. I think this guy, maybe he had a weird one-off experience where, it was out of your control, but I've seen you do it. You give so much to your fans, not just at these meet and greets, but with your podcast, with all the things you do. And I know you love your fans. I don't know what happened here, but I hope Michael is able to, keep loving it and give you another opportunity, because I think he just got whatever happened was a bad experience, but it wasn't a telling experience for the true Mike Herrera that we all know and love. So I just want to say, Michael, if I ever run into you at a show, I'm happy to talk about that experience too. But probably Mike would have better insight into it. Michael, I'll buy you a beer and we can chat and see what's up. Happy to. But I think Michael just had a bad experience that just isn't going to be replicated for anybody else. You're a good dude, Mike. Can't wait to see you again in Denver here on Saturday. Take care, man.
Attorney Dan, dude, you're so right. You're very insightful, and I appreciate the call. I'll just say this: the Charlotte line was crazy long. This is what happens. The MxPx crew is amazing. They're doing their thing while we're doing the meet and greet, and but leading up to the shows, our tour manager call or emails, talks, whatever, texts, whatever they're doing, they're communicating. We're going to do a meet and greet. It's usually in the contract, but it's also not just in the contract. It's communicated to the actual people on the ground at the venue. Like, hey, remember we talked about meet and greet? Okay, that's still happening. We're doing it. We'll have a meeting about it before the show. No problem. We'll make sure everybody's on the same page. They contact them. They remind them multiple times. And this happened with Charlotte multiple times. Yes, we remember the meet and greet. Good. You're good. Showed up the day of the show. Meet and greet. Yep. Good. They had their meeting about it. All good. And then we're doing the meet and greet. And this manager lady is coming up to Brad, one of our guys, one of our tour managers, and is saying like, hey, we got to stop this. We got to wrap this up. This is done. We're going to have to start charging you money. And Brad's just like, you know what? Get your boss on the phone, because this was talked about. He probably didn't even say that many words, but get your boss on the phone was one of them. And that was happening and I was looking at this lady while I'm like doing the meet and greet. Hey, it's very possible that's right when Michael came by. Maybe that was the time. I don't know. But that was definitely a thing that happened in Charlotte. And you know what? Charlotte, the venue itself was great. Like the whole night was awesome. So we always appreciate the local staff, and we always set it up ahead of time to where if they're there, they're getting paid, like they're not working for free, so it's not like they're just sitting there like for free, blah, blah, blah. No, they're getting paid, but that's probably why the manager's like, let's get them out of here. We don't want to pay them anymore. But hey, it's already set up and it's already planned, and it's already, we just had how many thousands of people in here? What? And if you, I don't want to get in any numbers, but that makes that venue and that company a lot of dough. And, all we want to do is connect with our fans when we can. It's not always possible, right? But that was very much a thing that was a problem for us in Charlotte. And they started rushing people through. And no matter what, if you have somebody yelling at you, even if you've even if you've advanced it, which is what they call it, you know, when you advance a show, you like advanced all of that, you've prepped it, you've had the meeting that day, these things still happen and you got to just figure it out. So, would love to have a beer with you, Michael. If you'd like to be on the podcast, let's do a live talk. You know, you can call me, and we'll do it, and you know, do it like that. If you don't want to do that, I totally get it too. I you know, I get it. But I mean, you know, we're here to be part of a community. So that's why I'm saying, if you want to, I don't think it'll be a divisive conversation. I think it's going to be a very understanding and positive conversation. All right. The rest of these voicemails, I'm just going to try to blow through these and just hear from you guys. All right. I kind of feel like I've said enough about the meet and greet and about, you know, the line was very long. I don't remember being at all tired, really. Like, yeah, sure, we're tired, but like, I don't really feel like, I think it was just literally bad timing and bad expectations and this and that. And sometimes people get more time with me and sometimes people get less time. Just, it's the luck of the draw. It's like, who was before you? If somebody takes up a lot of time before you, then the you know, whoever's like moving the line along is going to make sure the next person in line goes quicker. There's a lot of dynamics. Like I said, I think a lot of people are going to address a lot of things that they've experienced meeting us over the years. So let's get to it. Here's another voicemail, and then I'm going to blow through a lot of these. Here we go.
All right. Hopefully I can get this in 3 minutes. So wanted to respond about the video where you talked about Michael, who was upset about Charlotte. So my name is Brad. When I was 15 in 1999, I read in an interview with Mike that he was taking up golf. This was back when social media wasn't so much a thing, and I ended up emailing Creighton Burke, their manager at the time. Don't know if he's still the manager. I said I was on the golf team at school and asked if Mike would be interested in playing golf next time they came through my state. Creighton emailed me back and said Mike would love to. Unfortunately, their schedule wouldn't allow a round to happen, so we ended up hitting the driving range up.
Real quick, I wonder if I actually knew about that, or if Creighton's just like, Mike would love to, and then he just set it up for me, which is all good. I did love to. Anyway, moving on.
My dad drove two of my friends and me to the show hours before. We met Mike. He hopped in my dad's car and off we went. We had about an hour of hitting balls and just talking. Then we drove back to the venue, got to watch sound check, enjoyed the show. I remember Goaty Hook was an opener, but I don't remember the others, and had an amazing experience. I was a 15-year-old kid. I bought CDs and merch with lawn mowing and odd job money, in addition to trying to buy music gear. I really was and am a nobody. I was just a fan, and Mike took a minimum of 2 hours out of his day, his busy day, to hang out and shoot the crap with a couple of high schoolers who had a crappy band and just loved MxPx. Mike and the entire MxPx crew have always been and always will be top-notch. I've done a lot of things in life. I've served in combat. I've lost crushes, found love. I've had kids. I've explored the corporate and government world. I've been down and out. I've been on top of the world. But MxPx and Arthur have been there through, MxPx, Arthur, and Tumbledown have been there through it all. I think the dude in Charlotte got it wrong. Every time I met Mike back in the day, after that experience, he always called me by name the moment he saw me. It would take a lot to make me reject Mike. He's in it for the love of the game. He's a good businessman. Not many people can make music a real career, but Mike did. Through grit, being real, and being willing to look in the mirror. And most importantly, because he cares about the fans. You know, this guy from North Carolina just got it wrong. And I left this on the video as well as a comment. So anyway, have a good one.
Thanks, Brad, man. I vaguely remember that. Yeah, going out to the driving range. It's a wild time, man. That's just all speaks to, you know, just consistency over a long period of time. Here's another voicemail.
Hey, Mike, this is Hannah. I was at the Charlotte show. I was calling in reference to Michael, your disappointed fan. Number one, don't stop your podcast. It keeps fans connected to one of our favorites. Number two, we went through that meet and greet line after the Charlotte show. It was 12 a.m. by the time we got to you guys. I was tired. I know you guys must have been exhausted. But there you guys were, signing, picturing, and conversing, and it was just a great experience. So where was Michael coming from? I don't know. I think today's world makes anyone in the spotlight falsely accessible to consumers. And we feel like we, quote, know the producers of entertainment because we've listened to you forever. Social media makes you look available, your podcast. So, in other words, we know you, but you don't know us. And I think that gives a false sense of accessibility to you. And maybe that's why this guy was disappointed when he couldn't just sit down and shoot the breeze like y'all were best friends. So I hope that this does not discourage you from doing podcasts or especially coming back to Charlotte or from doing meet and greets. By the way, my husband went to Furnace Fest a couple years ago, and he said there were 4 bands that did meet and greets, and you guys were one of them. I think that speaks a lot. And I've been to your shows since I was 18, and I feel like I've always seen a meet and greet. So I do thank you for just giving that extra special time to your fans. And thank you guys for finding Neverland. Like, how are you not growing up? Just making life fun for us all. So thanks for finding Neverland and taking everyone there with you. We love you guys and keep doing what you're doing. This is Hannah again calling. I think I didn't want to sound rude. I think I said you guys don't seem like you grow up at the
No, you're good. You're good.
end of my message. I meant to say you don't act old, right? You guys are still doing what you've been doing since you were teenagers, and it makes us feel like teenagers too. You guys help keep us young. Please don't stop what you're doing. We love you guys. Peace.
I was not offended for 1 second, but thank you for the call, Hannah. It means so much. And, you know, hearing about your husband and going to Furnace Fest and, you know, and you all wanting to come and see us in Charlotte and having a good experience, that means everything. Appreciate that. And thanks for the kind words. All right, so let's move on. We'll go to another person from Charlotte. Here we go.
Hey, what's going on, Mike? My name's Ben. I literally pulled my work truck over after I heard this Michael kid go off, man. That was disrespectful for sure, especially since it sounds like he's a fan. So I'm sure he bought merch, and maybe he just wanted a lot of attention. A single child, you know, I have no clue. But, you know, I have a suspicion that he was wearing the T-shirt he bought at Charlotte while he was recording that message to you.
I just hope he doesn't burn all his MxPx gear, and now that he hates me. I mean, I hope you don't hate me, Michael. I certainly don't hate you, even after your voicemail, to be honest. All right.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. So you just can't impress everybody. It's I definitely felt that one though. That was quite a riot. Definitely reading was a riot act. But no, the show in Charlotte, amazing. I probably hadn't seen you guys in about 10 years. I'm a Midwest kid, but yeah, I live out in North Carolina now. But yeah, I was actually expecting those podcast stickers. I wanted to rep my water bottle, maybe my bike helmet. I don't know, everything but the back of my car. I don't really like putting stickers on the back of my car. But who knows? After this Michael phone call, I might see if I can buy a whole crap ton and just stick them on other people's car. I don't know. Maybe Michael already has one on his car. We don't know. But yeah, man, keep up the good work. Not for 1 second believe this child. It's probably what he is, a little whiny little bitch, you know, and I don't even like using that word, but unfortunately, that's kind of what he sounded like. No, man, you do a great job. Super impressed every week. The weeks you don't record one, I start wondering if you're okay. No, just kidding, man. I'm sure you're doing just fine. You're a busy man. But I'll let you go. Just wanted to let you know that, the Charlotte show was awesome. I brought my children, 18-year-old and a 21-year-old. Loved it. We're a punk rock family. And you do us well, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, Ben. I appreciate that. Thanks for bringing the kids out. Thanks for your perspective. And, it means a lot. It does. Man, podcast stickers. Those podcast stickers. Where are the podcast stickers? Bob, stickers. We're going to have to do a giveaway, a mail out. I don't know how to do all that. Maybe Bob can do that somehow and do it through the mail. I'll get him some postage money. All right. Thank you for the call.
Hey, what's up, Mike? This is Robbie from Nashville. I just wanted to call in about the most recent episode of the podcast talking about the meet and greet review guy. I couldn't have had a more opposite experience. I've met you guys a couple times at different shows here in Nashville and elsewhere. First time was like, 04 maybe. And then, I guess when you guys were doing the 25th anniversary tour, I met you guys. You guys did 2 nights in Nashville at Exodus. And, we went to both nights. Actually, that was the last time I went to a pit because, I got my ass kicked, but hey, it's all good. It's a fun time. But, anyway, I ran into you on the street outside the show before the show. And, I was like, I'm going to say, hey, Mike, because, I've been listening to you guys forever. And you were awesome. You took the time even then. And then after the show, same thing. You guys were great. So don't let it get to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it. Rock and roll. See ya.
Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate the call. Let's keep rolling.
Hey, Mike. It's Johnny Five from the Charlotte show. First of all, thank you, Tom, Yuri, and Chris, for not only putting on the high-energy, good vibe show that we're all used to seeing from MxPx over the years, but for also being some of the most down-to-earth and patient people during the meet and greet that followed the show. And also, thanks again so much for humoring me with the video requests that I put in front of you guys. I wanted to call in and talk about the meet and greet after hearing the voicemail that was left from the same show that I was at and kind of give a little bit of a counter perspective. So, simply put, it was honestly a pleasant and unexpected bonus to getting to see you guys perform live again after such a long time. And literally every MxPx show that I've brought friends or loved ones to has resulted in them commenting after the fact that they now understand why people, including myself, are as hyped as they are to see you guys. Like I mentioned you guys at the show, my girlfriend and I do a bunch of stuff directly with conventions in the cosplay space, and that involves interaction with convention attendees. But for those who don't understand, sometimes that's kind of like being a Disney character actor at a park. I put all that out there just to sort of communicate a level of understanding as to what it actually means to perform a show and then, quote unquote, have to conduct a number of meaningful interactions with people like you guys do with the meet and greets. And it's just the nature of conversation that not every interaction is going to be a 10 out of 10. But I think what some people don't grasp is that you don't really have to do those sort of interactions. Like personally, you could literally just go relax and chill after the show because after all, you've already delivered on what attendees have paid for. But it's really that act of being amongst the people and sharing that good energy on a more personal level and leaving them with a great experience that sets you guys apart. And it's what makes you guys a class act. In the cosplay space and in interviews that I've previously done, I've typically referred to this mindset as a focus on creating memories and building friendships instead of creating content and building followers. And that's exactly what you guys are doing with the meet and greets. You're creating memories with your fans, and in hearing people's stories and interacting with them on such a human level, you're treating them as more than just followers. With all that said, Mike, I know I'm not alone in saying thank you guys for all that you do for your fans. We fucking love you, and we can't wait for the next time that MxPx comes back to North Carolina.
Thank you, Johnny Five. I appreciate it, man. So good to hear from you. Cosplay, I love the perspective, the sharing good energy, creating memories. So true, so true. All right, here we go.
Hi, this is Erin calling from Virginia. I actually just paused the newest episode of the podcast so that I could give you my response while it's still fresh in my mind about the meet and greet experience. So my cousin and I came and saw you guys at the NorVa. Show was amazing. We were completely shocked. Like, I think honestly it's the first time we've seen you guys live, so we had no idea that you guys do a meet and greet at the end of the show. We found out, we were so stoked. So we got in line, we waited, we got to our turn, and now this isn't the first meet and greet I've ever done before, but I have seen where, like, at some other meet and greets, there are some people that'll get their turn at the table, they'll start meeting the band, they'll be shaking hands and everything, and they'll be there and they'll try to talk for a couple of minutes, and then, so I see that, and I know there's so many people in line behind me, and I feel like I'm being a jerk if I'm trying to talk for more than 2 seconds. So, like, at the NorVa, literally was just, hey, here with my cousin, he introduced me to your band when I started high school. Great to meet you guys. And left it at that. Because, like, there's so many other things that I would like to be able to say, but I know there's so many other people waiting for their turn. And I know you guys are being awesome by trying to give everybody a chance to say hi. And none of you were rude in the slightest. Like, everybody had at least a little bit of something to say in response, like, hey, thanks for coming. Chris was like, hey, I recognize you guys. You were standing in front of my spot at the stage. And that was really great. But, so, I feel like from what I got from Michael's message was that he's a long-time listener of the podcast. He's had a lot of insight. Like, I'm catching up on the podcast now. I just started listening about 2 weeks ago. He's called in with a lot of insightful things to say, a lot of really well-thought-out questions, and you take the time to respond to those. But the fact that he brought up that you responded once with, we should have a conversation, I think it might have come across to him like a meet and greet was the perfect place to have that kind of interaction. But unfortunately, like you were trying to relay in this podcast that I'm listening to now, there's not enough time for something like that. And I feel like maybe he didn't quite realize that that wasn't a possible thing, and that's why he's so upset. You haven't done anything wrong. I'm loving the podcast. I'm not usually a podcast person. Meet and greet was amazing. You were really great. Everybody. Hi, this is Erin from Virginia again. I'm sorry. I don't know where I got cut off.
Hey, you said it all, Aaron. Honestly, thank you so much for the call. Yeah, I mean, I think it very well could have just been, you know, him hearing me say, "Hey, let's have a conversation. We should talk face to face, you know, or whatever." And then we come face to face and we don't have a conversation. It's very disorienting, especially for some types of personalities that are like I know for me, like if things don't go as planned, if I'm not consciously, mentally guarding myself against reactions, I will react poorly to things not going the way I had thought they were going to go in my head. And I think it could very well be something like that. Thanks for the call, Aaron. I appreciate that.
Hey, Mike. Jason, Reagan, Too Bad, Eugene. I just got done watching the 604 podcast, and I was super bummed to hear that you had somebody that had a bad experience at your meet and greet. And I kind of felt compelled to chime in on that. I think it's a super awesome thing that, you know, you guys do a meet and greet. And, you know, we know a lot of other bands that do that too. I mean, we certainly try to do our best to chat and talk to anybody that likes to, you know, come say a few words or, you know, buy some merch. You know, we're always honored when people want to do that. And I know from firsthand experience, you were gracious enough to host us at the Santa Cruz show in this last run. We saw the meet and greet. You know, we certainly wanted to take that opportunity to say our goodbyes to you guys. You guys were, you know, definitely busy. The line was long. I think, you know, for, you know, the fans, and me being a fan of you guys and, you know, other artists that you look up to or friendly with, you know, you see that opportunity. And I think, for most folks, they feel like that's their moment, to come say what they want to say, and maybe you kind of build up what that's going to look like. But I know, like, knowing you try to get to everybody, and that's just, that's a brief moment in time where you can really, kind of interact with everybody. And I know it's a very cool thing. And I just kind of was bummed out by somebody not having the experience maybe they had hoped. But what I do want to say is that, over the time that I've known you, you've been nothing but gracious. And I hope for the fan that didn't have the great experience that they may have hoped, that maybe they come back and have another interaction with you. Because you're great. We love you. And keep doing your thing, man. Don't give up the pod. That would be crazy. All right, man. Take care. We'll see you down the road.
Dude, excuse me. Thanks for the call, Jason. I appreciate that. Yeah, maybe he can give us another chance. Try it one more time, Michael. Try it. Let's do it again. It can't happen twice in a row, right? All right, here we go.
Hi, Mike. My name's Nicole. I was at your Charlotte show last weekend. And it was I've been listening since like 2001, and it was my first time seeing you. And my husband and I drove 3.5 hours out to Charlotte to see the show, and I would absolutely do it again because it was probably one of the best shows I've ever been to. It was clear from the start how much care and attention you give to your audience, just from the fact that you were checking in constantly to make sure everyone was cool. You offered a meet and greet at the end, which I was totally shocked by. And the biggest event of the night was during the darkest places when you came down and you looked right at me, smiled, and then shoved your microphone in my face, which was terrifying but also cool. And even just the audience itself, before and after the show, everyone was just hanging out, talking with strangers, sharing about their families, talking about like their best concert experiences. All in all, I just wanted to say I don't always feel like I belong in the place where I am at the time, but that night I definitely felt like I belonged there. And I just wanted to thank you guys for an awesome night. Bye.
That is so great to hear, Nicole. Thank you so much. And that makes it. That's what I felt that night. I felt so good about that show and the meet and greet, and just the whole audience was just amazing. So. Yeah, thanks for reiterating kind of how I felt the whole night.
Hey, Mike, it's Jarrett from Southwest Michigan and the Facebook group. Man, I just re-listened to the podcast episode where this Michael character was upset about his experience with you at the meet and greet. And you mentioned, like, hey, give a quick call, let me know what your experience was. And I'll tell you what my experience was. My first and only MxPx show so far was at the Metro in December of, 2024, in Chicago.
Yep.
And as soon as I walked in and saw where the merch actual, room was, I thought, man, there's just no fucking way there's just no way there's going to be a meet and greet here. How would we do it? Because the stairs and the congestion and it was just a logistical nightmare and probably borderline fire hazard to have everybody rush the merch booth, form lines. I mean, they would have had to hang outside with Chris Pope or something to even, dude, I don't even know how it worked because I left doing responsibility toward the end just to go get in the merch line and buy some stuff. So, long story short, I knew that the Find a Way Home era would have meet and greets at the show, but I also knew that's not always feasible, And I didn't even think twice about it. I just thought, dude, there's no way there's a meet and greet here, just because it would be a nightmare. It would have been a horrible experience for people that had to line up. It would have been a horrible experience for the staff, and it could get dangerous. I mean, shit. The Metro that merch booth is almost, on the sidewalk of downtown Chicago. Long story short. I think that dude Michael is just nuts. There's no way. That is not an MxPx fan attitude, so fuck that guy. All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, you're right about the Chicago show, Metro. We did not do meet and greets there because it was just logistically a nightmare, and the venue was like, we absolutely don't want you to do it, and this is why. And we're just like, yeah, you're probably right. We hemmed and hawed, but we ultimately were like, yeah, I think it's we can't, we're not going to do this. But it wasn't. We tried. We thought about it. We looked into it, and man, it's a logistical nightmare, like you were saying. All right, here we go. Here's we're getting through them. A few more, you guys. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Mike, this is Dan. I just was calling in and listening to the review that Mr. Michael wanted to leave about his experience, and it bothered me, just like it probably bothered you. I've called into this show several times, and for somebody to attack you the way they did, I'm a little speechless, and the way you handle it, cheers to you for being so professional. But yeah, man, I've seen you at least 3 or 4 times for meet and greets. I can't imagine, emotionally draining. You mentioned the fact that your voice has to be on point for so many shows. I've waited in line upwards of an hour to almost an hour and a half at the San Antonio show. So I appreciate what you do, your passion behind what you do. Don't let this person bring you down. I think I speak on behalf of all your fans. This is just one person who's just trying to get a dig out of you. Why? Who knows? Jealousy or whatever it may be. But wanted to say I appreciate you sticking around. And I think I did call in and spoke on behalf in one of my questions why you decide to stick around and meet all your fans. And you had a great statement and a great answer for it. But there's no other band, punk band, any band that really does what you guys do. So keep doing it because you're impacting people's lives. The podcast is a way for your fans to ask questions and for you to answer them. So everyone appreciates what you do, the passion, the love that you have for the fans, for your band. Let that one roll off your back, man. There's always going to be that person out there. So thanks for everything, answering the questions, being patient, sticking around after shows, the energy, the hard work. Excited for the new album. Keep up everything. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.
Dude, thanks for the call. Appreciate it so much, Dan. Means a lot. And yep. I think, this it's like, I probably shouldn't have even aired his voicemail, but honestly, what's done is done, and now we got to go through it. But I think this process of this episode will be it rolling off the back, and then we can leave it alone. I don't know.
Hey, Mike. My name is Joe from Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Came out to your WC show. Love the podcast. Love listening. Been listening for quite some time now. Had a great experience with you in the meet and greet. First of all, it's amazing that you do it for free. I'm sure it takes some extra motivation at the end of a long set and a long night, all the traveling and all that. And it's just amazing that you guys even do that. So I've had 2 experiences with you. One time in Philly, I believe that was 2022, and one time in DC a few weeks back, and both were amazing. I can't believe you guys' attitude, great attitude, especially after getting off the stage for such a long time. I would say one thing, just as judgment, I would say, don't listen to one person. Don't let that bother you. The classic line, haters gonna hate. I don't know what Mike had his problem with there, but maybe he was having a bad night, whatever it was. Personal experience, like I said, amazing. Thank you thank you very much for what you do and for coming out. And service member here, just so you know, it provides a amazing morale boost just to come out for a couple of hours, see you guys, let life on the Army side go for a bit. So I do appreciate it. And thanks, and just keep up the good work, and looking forward to seeing you come back to DC for Warped Tour. Thanks, Mike.
That's right, Joe. Hey, thank you. Yeah, we will be back in DC pretty soon. It's going to be awesome. I didn't even say it on stage at 930 Club that we were going to be back for Warped Tour. Just dumb. I just, whatever. I just forgot. But, I'm not perfect, right? Love it. All right, let's keep rolling.
What's up, Mike? It's Andy Covington. I am Matt Covington's brother, and I know you guys have become homies. And I just listened to the episode with that guy Michael that was displeased with your meet and greet, and I think I get where people are coming from with their unexpected perspectives. Everybody's got hard days, and maybe he thought you were having a hard day, but maybe he was really having a hard day. But I just wanted to call and let you know that not only are you a total lifelong hero of mine in music and just living your dream with all your skills and blessing people with it, but yeah, and we went to the Florida show, Zebrahead Unwritten Law. Matt met us there. We were on vacation with my family, and you just totally hooked it up. You met up with us. You just spent time with us, man. It was a big show. It was a good time. And yet you still made time to make us feel special. And, if I was reading your personality like Michael was, maybe I would have thought it wasn't as good of a time. I don't know, but we had a great time, and just being with you was so awesome, and I'm so stoked for all that you're doing. And I'm also going to eventually put our album in front of you. We're looking for a bass player, and I think you'll really like that. Well, playing with Matt and I. It's called The Sound of Music. It rocks. So look forward to that. We'll be in touch. Keep rocking on, man.
Always a good time with the Covington brothers. Thanks for the call, Andy. All right, moving on. Here we go.
Hey, this is Mike. There's a lot of fucking mics. I shouldn't cuss, huh? Anyway, it's a podcast. Whatever. Just responding to your meet and greet thing. My wife and I, we went out to see you and the Ataris, MxPx and the Ataris, a few years ago in Anaheim, over at House of Blues. You guys did a meet and greet afterwards. I actually, the other Mike caller, I don't know what his deal was, but I actually felt somewhat similar, where I was like, oh, everyone was super cool. You were kind of reserved. But I think that I chalked it up to, dude, you just played a whole show. Like, maybe you're tired. You know what I mean? I don't know. I sing. I don't sing professionally, but I sing in my house. And if I sing like 12, 15, something, whatever, if I'm doing I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? And I'm not over there throwing bases around, and I'm not over there jumping up and down, and I have the lights on me and sweating and all that. I'm not doing all that. I don't have the pressure of a whole crowd. I figured you were just tired. I did experience where you seemed a little bit more reserved. You seemed like you didn't want to be there, but at the same time, it was super cool to meet everybody. You were not a jerk. You just didn't have the same energy level as the other guys. Did I walk away going like, what an asshole? No, I didn't. And you explained it where maybe you're trying to save your voice. Maybe you're trying to do that. And like I said, I thought you were just tired. So no big deal. No harm, no foul, and don't quit the podcast. You're good to go. Yeah. And just as a side note, quit being an asshole in these meet and greets, bro. I mean, come on. I'm just kidding. Have a good one.
All right. Straight up. That's another Mike. Michael v. Mike. It's I appreciate the call, brother. And you know what? Maybe I was tired that night. Maybe I was I don't know, honestly. Like, maybe it was a few years ago, so who knows what was going on. All right. Let's continue. Here we go.
What up, Mike? It's Joe from St. Pete, Florida. So I didn't get to hear all the podcasts today, but I saw some of the reels on Facebook, and sorry the guy was being a douchebag. appreciate what you do, staying after the show, doing the meet and greets. I would have understood, like, if you guys did an hour and a half show and then you're there till like 1 a.m. some nights, and I'm sure you want to get out of there and get home and you're tired or whatnot, and I would have understood if the line was too long and I didn't get to see you guys. Fortunately for me, I was in the balcony at the, venue, and I was able to get to the line to meet you guys, but I'm just grateful that I got to meet you guys. Sorry that guy was a douchebag. But I was going to ask a question.
Michael, you're not a douchebag. All right.
So I have a guilty pleasure. I like watching American Idol, and I think it would be cool if there was like a punk rock version of American Idols, just for like punk bands, up and coming bands, kind of like how you do Music Mondays, but with punk rock and American Idol, for just discovering bands, and they could have like guest like judges that are like punk rock singers or singers and bands, or just bands in general that started from the bottom and worked their way up, but to have a punk rock idol like TV show, that'd be kind of cool. So what do you think about that? Anyways, I'll talk to you soon. Hope you're doing well, and all right, have a good one.
All right, Joe. Thank you. Appreciate the call. Punk rock American Idol. Who should we have be judges? Maybe the Madden Brothers. Maybe they were on that show. I think it was called The Chair or The Voice. The Chair. It's called The Chair in Australia. Yeah, we gotta have some funky chair that we can turn around and like hit buttons. I'm all for it. Whatever. Let's go. All right. Thanks for the call.
Hey, Mike, this is Nate. Just calling back again. So I want to talk about the current podcast. Man, you're always positive. You're always doing the right things. I love the podcast. Keep it on forever, please. I absolutely love it. I think in terms of the meet and greet, I haven't been to one yet. When you do come close to Mass or even Connecticut, I heard about it for Islanders. Anywhere in the region, I'll do a meet and greet. But I think you give everything you can. You give everything in the show. You give everything on stage, and then afterwards you're trying to do your best to let everybody know, like, hey, the MxPx appreciates you. We love everything that you do. I think it can be challenging. I work, in fitness, and I say hi to everybody at the club, and there are days where I see someone and I think about something, and I don't maybe smile or say hi, right away, and I can see it affect them. So I can see. In this case, they're waiting in line, then they finally see you. You get, busy. You're trying to think of, okay, I got to get to the next person. I have this going on. That's life. That happens. And you do your very best, and I know that. So keep doing you, Mike. Don't let this one sweat it. I mean, I know that guy will probably call back and, have more than what's happening, and that affected that experience for him. It sounds like displaced aggression, to be honest. He could have been in the pit, or it could have been pushed around, and that was just the last straw. There could be other things going on. So don't worry about it too much. Keep rocking, keep doing you, and, keep your head up and keep being cautious, optimistic. Take care, Mike. Bye.
No, you didn't, Nate. No, you didn't. Thanks for the call. I appreciate the kind words and the positivity, and always calling in. I hope Michael does call in. He has not called in so far and left a message, so we'll see what happens. But honestly, maybe he hasn't seen or heard any of this all week and all last week, so that's always possible as well. All right, we're gonna do one more voicemail and we'll end it here. I appreciate you guys so much, and this community means so much to me. I'm not sitting here trying to think of it like a marketing scheme or how to do this or that. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, and for me, I just feel like the podcast, it keeps us talking back and forth. It keeps us just having fun conversations and memories, and we have something in common. When you do come out to a show, if you're listening to the podcast, that's awesome. I won't know what to say except for I'm going to say thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for listening. amazing. You know, I don't know what else to say aside from that, but I will say thank you. Yeah, if you want to get into it, let's get into it here. You guys are always welcome to call in. The number, again, 360-830-6660. Leave me a voicemail. The limit is 3 minutes at a time. If you go past 3 minutes, you have to call back in like Hannah did, like Aaron did. You get it. All right, let's do one more. Here we go.
Hey, Mike, this is Hannah from LA. I probably would never actually called in, but I just finished watching that latest episode where you basically got reamed by a fan, and I felt like I kind of wanted to share something a little bit more positive. Anyways, been a long-time fan. I started listening to MxPx like back in middle school or so. And the first MxPx CD I remember owning was Before Everything and After. And owning is probably a strong word. I borrowed it from my brothers and never returned it, which is how I got most of my music back in the day. But yeah, I listened to it a lot and a lot of your other older albums. And then to be honest, I kind of fell off for a little bit and didn't, keep up too much. And I never seen you guys live. So then fast forward to, this past January, my brother ended up buying some tickets to see MxPx in San Francisco, closer to where he lived. So I decided, okay, I'll go fly out, see you guys there. I assumed it would just be kind of a really fun, nostalgic weekend, wasn't expecting too much. And it ended up being kind of hands down one of the best live show experiences that I've ever seen. You guys were so energetic, so interactive with the crowd, and it was just so great. And then on top of that, typically before I see a band live or an artist live, I spend a couple of weeks listening to their music and kind of getting into the mood and everything. So I did that with basically the entire MxPx catalog from start to finish more than once. And it blows my mind that to this day you guys are putting out music and albums that are just as good, if not better, than your older stuff. And I don't really know how to put it into words, but Find a Way Home, I found at the exact right time that I needed it. And it just kind of resonated with me a lot. And I don't want to get into details or anything, but like I've listened to it basically nonstop since I discovered that back in January or so. And I'll always be grateful for it. Anyways, so thanks so much for that. But, I hope you get this voicemail while you're doing the podcast from Bremerton, because my actual question is about your background setup. It looks like you kind of very intentionally set up the background, like having books and a football and what looks like a stuffed lizard or something. And I was wondering if you'd be willing to do like a quick show and tell of what you've chosen for your background, if there's any significance. Anyway, thanks for everything that you do. Can't wait to see you guys at Long Beach Warped Tour. I'll be at LA Goldfinger for my birthday. And thanks for taking my call. Have a great day.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the call. Hannah, yeah, that show in San Francisco was so much fun. I appreciate you coming out and the background setup. Yeah, this is a great way to end this podcast because it really is all about your perspective, you guys, your experiences, your memories. How did you remember what happened? You know, it's like that's our reality. It's the only reality we know. So let's get into this background and then we'll say au revoir. Thank you to Bob McKnight for producing and making it all happen. I appreciate it. Thanks to Christine Hall. She's been helping me with the YouTube stuff. And thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you. MxPx.com for tickets, for merch. We have all the stuff like hoodies, vinyl, t-shirts, hats, all these little trinkets, including steak seasoning and things you can do for the summer. That's what we're always, people are always asking us to make more stuff, do this, and we're doing it. So, but we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for you guys. So again, appreciate you. Thank you. And let's not pile on Michael. Let's give a little grace. And I hope he hasn't headed for the hills, and hopefully it might even take him some time, to be honest. Like it's pretty intense, you know, when everyone in the community is kind of like No, you got it all wrong. So a little grace for Michael, and he had a bad experience, but we all, because of that, can come together and tell our stories, and I appreciate the positivity that you guys brought to not only this podcast, but you bring to the shows, you bring to the line when people are waiting in line, and everybody's very patient. I always try to especially people towards the end of the night, I'm telling people, thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate you. And I guess I didn't say that to Michael, and I apologize for that, but I do appreciate you, Michael. And I even appreciate your bad review, because it's allowed us to come together on a lot of things. So, all right. The background setup, Hannah, let's get into it. So, yeah, I try to set up some stuff, this, like put some things randomly around me. But let's get into the very back. Why do I have what I have here? I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera. We'll get closer. Hold on. All right, here we go. You're going to see sort of the background. So what we got here is we've got a monitor lizard. This is a lizard I brought from Indonesia, and I went to Japan from there, toured all through Japan. I literally strapped it onto one of my base cases, and we flew home with it. And customs, I thought it might be an issue, but it turned out to be fine. They didn't know what it was, and it wasn't alive, so they probably thought it was like a stuffed animal. Books, yeah, these are just, this is like a book you can use for like songwriting. Ryan Holiday, Ego is the Enemy. Ryan Holiday, Trust Me Online. That's like his first book, I think. This Makes Me Look Smart. A Brief History of Humankind. I don't think I've read it all. There's a journal here. This is the key to the city of Bremerton. Yes, this is the actual key. Each band member got one of these, and I thought, you know what? I should put it behind my podcast setup. This is a actual camera that works. It just sits there because now that we have iPhones, it's not really needed. But I just threw this up there just to sort of have a splash of color back there. Some very cool artwork. Who did this artwork? Was this Leslie? This might have been Leslie. A friend of ours in Eastern Washington. I think. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but I think that's who did that. Here we go. We got, this is a piece of art we bought somewhere. I don't remember who did that, but this is a football signed by the Seattle Seahawks. I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was quite a while ago. Nothing very recent. So anyway, cool stuff. A Mike Herrera Funko Pop or whatever it is. And then everything else is just kind of random trinkets and things like that. So, the Schlitz Malt Liquor Bowl, very cool. MxPx skate decks. This is my Zippo I've had for, I don't know, since I was a teenager. Just like that. On the desk, we've got Poking at Your Punk, also by Leslie. That thing, I don't know where I got that, somewhere. This is a Ernie Ball strings thing that I'm actually on the side of. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Sticks will be made. And yeah, here we go. This is what I record on. This is a little Rode podcast recorder. And my computer is play the voicemails, and boom, it's a very simple setup. And There it is. The background setup for the podcast. All right. Thank you all. Until next week. Peace.